So I want us to see how we might have the right focus that John wants to end this letter on. And in order to have the right focus in regards to idols, the very first thing that needs to happen is this. Number one, we need to see the idols. We need to see the idols. 1 John 5:21, little children, keep yourselves from idols. I say we need to see the idols because a lot of times they're not as visible as we would tend to think. If I were to ask you to go and find some idols, you may struggle with that. You may go to Cambodia, or you may go somewhere over to the east and say, well, I found some idols. But listen to what Ezekiel 14:3 says, Son of man, these men have taken their idols into their hearts. They've taken their idols into their hearts. So I want you to write this down in your sermon listening guide. Idols used to be made with hands, but now they're made with hearts. Idols used to be made with hands, but now they're made with hearts. You see, before, a group of people would get together and they would form and fashion an idol, and they would make it, they would begin to worship it, they would celebrate it. That's what they would do. But even in the time of Ezekiel, this prophet says, listen, really it's not about that. It's about your heart. And so I want to get to the heart issue. There are two major groups of idols. Here's what I want you to see. The major two groups of idols. The first one that I want to spend quite a bit of time on is this. Surface idols. Go ahead and write down surface idols. There are three major groupings of surface idols. Surface idols are those idols that you tend to be able to see in the lives of ourselves and the lives of other people. One of those surface idols that we tend to notice are personal idols. Personal idols. That's a surface idol. Let me give you some examples of some personal idols. Maybe for some, a personal idol may be a specific person, where you've seen and you've heard, well, listen, I have to have this person in my life. If I just had this one person in my life, oh my goodness, everything would be amazing. And they have this person to where they literally, you've heard the expression, worship the ground on which they walk. You've heard that before? That's a person being an idol. It doesn't even have to be a spouse. It doesn't have to be someone of the opposite sex. We're going, oh, I really worship that person. It could be sometimes kids can become that, where our whole world and our whole lives become about the kids and the children. That's a person being a personal idol. Another example might be a position. It might be a position. To where it's that idol that says, listen, I've got to be this person. If I've got to hold this position, and if I hold this position, then my life has value. Things matter to me. But if I were to not have this position, then I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. That's another personal idol. Hey, for some, it might be beauty, appearance, image. We see that often in our culture with our magazines. We see that with a lot of what we do. And it could be that they say, listen, I have to look this certain way, and it's very important to me that I am presented in this particular way. And so they spend lots of time, energy, and effort at the gym and on cosmetics and doing these things. And again, none of these things are inherently bad. It's simply if they don't have the right place in our lives. Maybe for some, it's all about health. That becomes an idol. Because I don't want to get sick and I want to live forever. I want to have these things. And so that could become one of those idols. I think one of the ones that we tend to jump to often is wealth. Where we say, you know what, we see this often. It's probably one of the most easiest, tangible ones for us to notice when someone is pursuing and when their whole life becomes revolving around wealth and what they have. So those are personal idols. That's the first part of a surface idol. You can have personal idols. The second one is this. There's also cultural idols. If you were to travel to different locations, different cultures tend to idolize different things. Some cultures idolize individualism. saying it's all about my individuality. That's what we celebrate, and that's what we idolize in particular countries. For others, it's affluence. It's making sure that we have the right things. For others, it may be an honor thing, that cultures say, well, listen, it's all about the honor that we have. Still other cultures, it's about technologies, making the latest advancement, continuing to head that way. So there are personal idols, but sometimes that filters out and becomes a very cultural thing, to where an entire culture, you can identify certain idols that are within a culture. But not only are there personal idols, not only are there cultural idols, there's also intellectual idols. These are ideologies. This is an idea that a group of folks tend to have, or maybe an individual has, that maybe an ideology of perfection, that everything has to be this particular way, and this is how it's supposed to be. Or maybe it's an ideology of man is innately good, and that we say that's who they are. There are different types of surface idols. But it's one thing for the surface to be able to see those things. We tend to see those things. Kind of like there was a guy that was driving down the road and he was weaving in and out of traffic. So, of course, the police officer comes and he pulls over the gentleman and says, "Listen, sir," comes up to the window, "I need you to take a breathalyzer." And the man says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I have asthma. That'll really impact me, and I can't do it." So I said, "Okay, well, here's what I need you to do then, sir, and I need you to come down and to the station, and we need to do some blood work on you and run that." He said, "Oh, I can't do that. I have a blood problem that I tend to bleed. I have thin blood. If you take that, it's going to bleed everywhere." And I said, "Okay, well, sir, then you need to come down, and I need to get a urine sample." And he says, "Officer, I can't do that either because I'm a diabetic, and that might mess up my blood sugars and things like that, so I really can't do that." So finally, the officer said, "Well, listen, sir, I need you to get out of the car, and I need you to walk in a straight line." And the man says, "Officer, I can't do that either." And the officer says, "Why in the world can't you do that?" And the man says, "Because I'm drunk." Okay? Took a while to get to the real issue, didn't it? Let's get all the way down and see the real issue that is happening here. Here's what I want to talk to you about. We always look at the surface issues and the surface idols, but what I want us to do today is there's a second type of idol called a source idol. A source idol. A source idol is, here's what's really going on. We need to really get to what's behind the surface thing of saying, well, why is it that position is important to me, or a person is important to me, or beauty, or health, or wealth, or all those things? Or why is it that these cultural idols have so much power and sway in my life? What is it? We need to get to the source idols, the things that are beneath it. So I want to give you the 4 major source idols and see what we might see here together. The first one that's there in your notes is the power idol. It's the power idol. For this person, their identity comes all about that position, all about that influence. It's all about power. The best way that I could think of a power way to describe this would be this: their primary motivation in life is not so much it is to win, but it's to avoid losing. That's that power thing. It's I want to be in and have power in these ways, and so we have to be careful that maybe the source of our issue here is one of power. Let me give you an example on how this fleshes out with one of the surface idols. Let's say that my source idol is power. You know how I'm going to view money? I'm going to view money as a way to gain me more power. more influence, more impact in that way. And that's how I'm going to see wealth. And why I need to get wealth is to make sure that I have the power in these particular areas of my life. But it's not just the source idol of power. There's also a source idol of control, which is similar to power, but a little bit different. Here's what I mean by control. It's the idea that I want to control my environment so that I don't have to worry. So if I can control all the things are around me, and things are, if I do this, then this is going to happen. If I do this, then this is going to happen. If I do this, then this is going to happen. That's the control, that source that's there. That's that deeper idol that sometimes we say, listen, I really want to make sure that I am in control. So here's how that fleshes out on the surface with money. You know why you want to have money? You want to have money, and it becomes one of those surface idols so that when you look at the bank account, there can be some peace to say, okay, I'm in control. I have this money, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. You see how a surface idol of money fleshes out in different way depending on the source idol of what's really happening a little bit deeper? And so we've got the power, we've got the control, then it goes on to the comfort idol. Well, listen, I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't want to hurt in any way. I don't want to be frustrated in any way. And so I need to make sure that I am taken care of. And I'm going to seek and pursue comfort. Now, the way that this fleshes out with money, again, because it's the easiest one for us to see and to illustrate, is I need money in order to provide for me those things that I believe are going to bring me comfort. Whether it be the right kind of house, whether it be the right kind of car, whether it be the right types of vacation, whatever it might be, it's really about those things. And so I need to have that money that's there in order to have the comfort that my soul is desiring. Hey, the final one that is here is the approval, is the other source. The approval. The approval says it's very important to me on how I'm accepted by other people. By other people, the way that they look at me matters. It matters deeply to me. It becomes that idol where it's paramount that I am perceived in the right light. So guess what? Money is all about getting those things that are going to get approval from the people that I care about, the people that I value that approval from. So I'm going to get that thing, whether it be a vehicle, a house, or whatever it is. I'm going to get whatever it is that that person values so that they might approve me. It's not because I actually like that car. It's not because I actually like that particular place or this thing. It's because I need to have that approval. So here's what we need to understand about seeing the idols. All of these things are not bad things. They're simply things that are put in the wrong order, in the wrong priority. Here's what I'm saying. It's okay to want comfort. It's okay to want to have influence. It's okay to want to have control. It's okay to, want approval, but they have to be put in the right perspective, in the right place. That's the problem. When these things become ultimate, that's when we get skewed. That's when all this gets messed up. But here is the problem. We don't have a good self-awareness at times to see these things. A lot of times we stay right up on the surface, but we never go any deeper to say, why is it that this is how I am responding?